What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another edition of Gridiron Views. This is your boy, the historian, in the building. We got Tyree, Holland, and Dre in the building today. We got a couple of things that we're going to talk about this week. We're going to talk a little bit about how the field of play has literally caused folks knees and elbows, but during the soccer tournament, it didn't. Is this a coincidence? Or is this something that can possibly be changed? Let's go ahead and get this thing started this week. Trey, what's going on, my guy? Tyree, what's happening, man? How you doing?
Doing good, man. Life is good, man. It's summertime. It's raining out here, but hey, it is what it is, man. That's the beautiful thing about life. It's ups and downs. What about you, Dre?
All right, man. Today is the day that the Lord has made. So I will be glad and rejoice in it, man. Even on the bad days, it's a good day because it's the day that the Lord has made.
Amen.
But I'm excited to be here and speak about these topics. Will the 2026 World Cup end turf fields in the NFL?
The NFL excuse is dead. According to the LA Times, the 2026 FIFA World Cup completely shattered the myth that indoor stadiums can't use real grass, spending just $2 million per field to convert 11 venues, including notorious turf fields like MetLife and SoFi, into elite natural pitches using advanced modular technology systems. This technology directly answers a massive player safety crisis, according to the official NFLPA data. A staggering 92% of players demand natural grass, a preferred backed by brutal medical reality showing 28% higher rating of non-contact lower body injuries on fake turf. Even Raiders owner Mark Davis is breaking his ranks with the owners, explicitly telling NBC Sports that football should be played on grass for safety, period. The blueprint is here, the cash is there, and it's time for the NFL to stop putting concert revenue over human health.
If you look at the dynamics of it, most people don't really realize that the NFL owners started bringing in turf around the late 60s, early 70s, pretty much to cut the cost of being able to take care of a natural grass field because it cost them a good amount of money to keep the grass decent year round. But even with them saving that money, it still was going to cost them a lot of money and losing players for seasons. You look from 70s, 80s, all the way up until now, with any type of unnatural man made surface that isn't God made, guess what? You have more injuries. Dre, you said it was a beautiful day that the Lord has made, but why can't NFL owners enjoy what the Lord has made naturally for us to actually be able to run on without problems?
Well, the answer is simple. Teams view artificial turf as an inexpensive alternative to natural playing surfaces. Like it costs less to maintain. It allows more flexibility as far as concerts and other events that they can have in their stadium. So that's the owner's reasoning for it. But my question and my problem with it is more so instead of constantly changing the rules of the game, why not address the surface the game is played on? Every offseason, the NFL introduces another change aimed at reducing contact or improving player safety. Kickoffs are revised, tackling guidelines shift. Players are asked to constantly adapt how they move and play in a sport already operating at extreme speed. Meanwhile, the ground beneath them remains a matter of preference. The NFL keeps changing the way players hit the ground, but refuses to change the ground that they are hitting. Make that make sense?
I mean, it doesn't make much sense when you have, you go from having AstroTurf being the first surface, and it really was nothing but a thin piece of green carpet that had number lines painted or it was seams with a thin rubber mat underneath on concrete. That's mainly what it was. It was considered what we call a speed track, but there were more blown knees, more concussions, and so many body parts left on that surface.
So clearly, change is possible when the stakes are high enough. When it comes to the World Cup, they have no problem rolling out natural grass. But as soon as the NFL players come back to play, it's nothing but excuses. Oh no, I have to do concerts and I got to do this and I got to do that. And it's just If the NFL really wants to be the pinnacle of professional sports and the best sports league in the world, you have to play on world class surfaces. Something that soccer players and soccer clubs have understood for a very long time. And just a secret for some of you football fans out there, your owners also own soccer clubs, some of them. And I guarantee you that their soccer players are not playing on turf the same way that their football players are.
Well, before we get to the next topic, I'll say this. Arthur Blank, he owns the Atlanta United. They play on the same surface as the Atlanta Falcons. And the crazy thing is, a lot of those guys actually from Josef Martinez, our former MVP that helped us win a championship, he actually talked about how the surfaces were different and the grass is a lot more forgiving on the joints than the artificial turf. You know, even though we ended up losing 28-3, as you always like to talk about it, was giving up the draws. We ended up winning a championship with the soccer club literally not too long after the Super Bowl. So Arthur has one championship
So,
and he invested into that. The thing is now, I agree with you. You got to start investing into the surfaces so you know these Falcons can get the stench of that, you know, that 28-3 off of their necks and got to get through the Giants to do it and many other teams like the Bears and other folks.
well,
So, you know, gotta do it a little differently.
Speaking of
well,
doing it
let's
a little dip.
rewind for a second. Just for a second, let's
Oh
rewind for a
Lord.
second because you
Oh
said
Lord.
something, and
Oh
I think you
Lord.
kind of skipped over something that I said first, right? So I said world class organizations, right? I don't think that the Falcons fit that. Now, shout out to Arthur Blank because he's
Atlanta
kept the
United does.
concessions cheap for everybody. And I mean, Atlanta United fans can get mad all they want. We watching FC Bayern and Barcelona, like we watching La Liga, we
True.
watching Bundesliga, we watching the Premier League. We're not watching y'all play
Ma
soccer in Atlanta over there. We wouldn't even tune in to the Miami games if they didn't have Messi. So
but you
like,
know what?
come on, man. We don't
But let's
don't
be
talk to me if
real.
I know
It's
Atlanta
starting
soccer.
but let's be real. American soccer, Major League Soccer is starting to catch on with fans, and that's why you're starting to get a little bit more of a crossover with how fans view how soccer is played. And you hear a lot of those professionals that are from the other parts of the pond, across the pond, they come over here and they laugh at the facilities that a lot of the soccer players have because again, America is behind because we don't invest that type of money as you would say into those facilities and that falls right into that grass. So now that we've rolled up the artificial turf and we've rolled up the artificial grass, let's go ahead and roll into another topic that is really stirring a lot of buzz right now that a foundation is being laid when we talk about the new 5-year rule that college football has applied to the game for up and coming athletes. How do you guys feel that this change is going to affect future athletes that are going to be coming in now that we don't have to deal with the COVID babies anymore?
College football just killed the traditional red shirt. And with it, the era of the 26-year-old, 8-year ARP member. No more tracking snaps, no more casual transfer portal loopholes, and absolutely no more 7-year seniors who look like they own a mortgage and a lawnmower. College football is in its truest form. Thank God. So, how do you feel about that, Dre?
See, with the rise of NIL comes the rise of expectation, and with this 5 for 5 rule, I like to call it. And for those that don't know, it starts either the day you enroll in college or with your 19th birthday, 5 years of continuous eligibility. But with the rise of NIL and the rise of expectations, also comes the removal of grace. And I think honestly, Ryan Williams might be the perfect case study for this. I think Ryan Williams could be a guy that kind of he came in early, exceeded his expectations early, and became a victim of his own success. And I think he'll be able to bounce back, but some kids won't be able to bounce back from that, and they're not being developed the right way, right? It's whereas in high school we see guys being just played in whatever position, all in the name of winning. And I'm worried that now, instead of kids coming into college and actually being developed, that they're just going to be forced to play early and often. And I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing, honestly.
What's your takes on things, right?
Honestly, I'm not mad at it. I understand why they got rid of the red shirt year because if you think about it now, as you like Dre was saying, when you talk about Ryan Williams being the poster boy of this, coming in as a young guy fresh out of high school, didn't even really play a senior year, and started to show flashes his first year in college football, and then you see him turn around and have a inconsistent year. You have to start looking at these young men and understanding that they're still children mentally. They still have to grasp the mental side of the game. Physically, they're able to adapt to certain things, but there's a mental side of the game that you also have to understand that comes with it. And I think last year really, now that he had a target on his back and people understood what he could bring to the table, they were able to focus on him. And to me, I don't think he was mature enough yet to handle that type of burden. And that's not going to be the only player that you have that's going to have those type of burdens coming in because you have schools giving these guys money coming in. A lot of these freshmen, they're trying to cash in a check. And these coaches that are paying these bills or these boosters that are footing the bills for these guys, they're going to expect these guys to play. They're not going to want to hear the fact that they got to be developed or they're in a situation. You look at Kirby Smart, for instance. Kirby's not paying top dollar to an incoming freshman that has not played. He's actually paying to retain guys because you have guys that have taken top dollar, such as a Dylan Rayola, and they've transferred out of programs. And now he's sitting on the bench at Oregon waiting his turn and waiting for an opportunity to play. Not saying that the kid is bad, but let's be real, he wasn't ready either. So this is the issue that you're going to run into a lot now where people are getting ready to start forcing these babies out to play. What do y'all
Well,
think?
look at the situation with Bryce Underwood at Michigan. Like when you make that type of investment in a young quarterback, do you honestly have the ability to sit him for a year? I don't think so. So when you're paying a guy so much that it prevents you from being able to develop him correctly or do what's best for his career, I think that's an issue. And I don't think this is going to go anywhere. Now, the one thing I do like is the other side of things, there's only one opportunity to transfer now going forward. So you transfer once, you're done. You're at whatever program you're at. So I do think that it brings some stability, and that could be good for it could be good for some guys' development. Like honestly, I think it'll be a gift and a curse. I think you'll have some teams that use this in the wrong way and force kids to get out there early and do a job of developing them. But then I think you'll have the programs, like you said, to your credit with Kirby, that are more focused on retention, and you're going to start to see teams be together for 3, 4 years at a time. Whereas in the past, I mean, you had some of those guys together, but they were never all at their best when they were together, right? Like some of those guys were headed out, other guys were young pups, and that cycle kind of just repeated. So I think um I think this can be a gift and a curse, and I'm honestly just excited and interested to see where this leads us. Hopefully to a better product.
Yeah, speaking of better product and starting off early, how early financial stability changes NFL rookies?
Financial stability changes way before they even get to the NFL. Let's just be honest. When you have these young men that are starting to get the NIL money at this point, they are already being fed that money that they were working their tails off to get to. So when you get a guy that comes to the NFL that's made possibly, a million, $2 million off the bat, they're already going to have a sense of entitlement because they felt as if they were paid right off of the bat. So it's hard for coaches to get the greatest effort out of a player because they're not hungry anymore. I really believe that it starts with the mindset and how they are groomed before they even get to that level. That's just me. Maybe I might be a little off Tyree. I don't know, but that's just how I see it. Just me and my words. Dre?
Well, I mean, hopefully, years from now, NIL proves to be a blessing and helps create a generation of wealth, like a new generation of wealth for athletes and their families. But for the players that have the right people in their ear, it can truly be a life changing thing. They can enter the NFL with an established financial foundation instead of arriving desperate for their first financial paycheck. That matters because a young player who is financially stable doesn't have to make every decision based on immediate money. He can focus on developing. He can be more patient with his career. He can build around the foundation he already created in college instead of treating his rookie contract as the beginning and end of his financial future. But NIL is not automatically going to produce financial security. For every Channing Crowder, you have a Brandon Marshall. Two athletes can make significant money and still have completely different definitions of what it means to be financially secure. And that is why the people around these athletes matter so much.
Let's just be honest. Michael Irvin said it. If you remember when the Cowboys had they had their show where they were trying to find a new player and they had guys going through tests and gauntlets and everything else. When you look back at it, like you said, you got types of people. You got the people that are going to try to take your money out your pocket, or you got the people that's going to try to take money out your pocket by you investing into them. So either way, you're going to spend your money. The question is, how do you spend your money?
Speaking of how you spend your money, today's NFL rookies face immediate money shock, transitioning from college dorm to potentially signing up to $57 million, hitting their financial peak at what, around the age of 22 years old. Thanks to the new NIL era, many top draft picks enter the league already operating like seasoned business pros and experience managing significant wealth. However, the sudden money interjection flip is a flip of their reality when you talk about hiring financial fiduciaries, setting boundaries with friends, and also, mastering, a complex, tax, strategies, even before even playing a game. I think NIL is a blessing and a curse. It's about how you position yourself throughout your college journey. Are you there to develop? Because when I say developed, are you there developing mentally, physically, and spiritually? Because it's a lot of kids that's chasing after a check before they get to the league and thinking that might be their last check. And it's very few that operate in an elite level thinking, okay, I made it in college, I'm done. Or it's a flip of a coin like, okay, that's cool. College is cool, but I want to be a legend in the NFL. What do you think about that, Rod? Somebody that comes to mind for me is like Junior Bridgman.
That's a great assessment because when you talk about Junior Bridgman, former God rest his soul, he just passed away in 2025. You look at a guy who started off at Louisville, played for the Bucks, Clippers, and then ended up back with the Milwaukee Bucks in his career. And he even talked about it before. He made more money after he left the NBA opposed to him being in the NBA making money. This is a man who was a six man of his career, averaging a double double, and figures of scoring 9 consecutive seasons. And, if we had that six man award before 1982, 1983 season, he would have had it consistently, honestly, if you look at it. But he even said it himself. Having a solid NBA career was cool, but he wasn't making money. But during the offseason, what he would do is he worked and he learned um, during his time as an off worker, he worked at Wendy's. at a fast food franchise. He learned the business model of Wendy's, and after retiring from the NBA, he invested in the franchise, and eventually he owned over 450 fast food restaurants, including 160 Wendy's locations and 120 Chili's restaurants. In 2016, he sold 120 of Chili's locations and 100 of Wendy's locations to a private buyer and started a Coca-Cola company, a Coca-Cola bottling company to distribute their beverage brands. So when you look at it, he went from not making money to understanding what it is to make money because eventually he actually spent an undisclosed amount, which was discounted from Jimmy Haslam for the Milwaukee Bucks. He owned about 10%. He was a minority owner. And if you look at it, for that guy to end up in Forbes magazine, he had an estimated income of $32 million. He was one of the fourth wealthiest retired athletes in the world behind Michael Jordan, David Beckham, and Arnold Palmer.
So, real quick, something you said, right? Is during the off season, he did what, right?
He pretty much interned and worked. And there's another
But he
athlete who's done the
learned.
same that's still
He
alive.
learned. He
Yes.
learned is what the word you used earlier, right? And
Yep.
it brings me to a different point. Yes, these athletes need to learn, but who is teaching them? Who is managing the money? Who's telling them no? Who's helping them understand that an NFL salary is temporary, even when the number looks permanent? I always say athletes need to act their wage, right? But
Yep.
acting your wage doesn't mean spending it according to what you earn. It means understanding the responsibility that comes with what you earn. It means protecting the opportunity. It means building something that lasts after the game stops paying you. There are still athletes who make millions and end up broke. So NIL is ultimately both a gift and a curse.
I agree. When you look at the money that's being spent, just you talk about some of the best, athletes in the world, but you have to have a job once you're done. I think one of the prime examples of that is former Chicago Bears safety, Mr. Doug Plank, who the 46 defense was named after. I had the pleasure of interviewing him on the Birdcage LLC Thursday nights at 8 p.m. If you guys are interested, please tap in. Um, he
I'm
came onto the
tapping with
show and he
that
told his
fact.
story, and he talked about during the offseason, he would do autograph signings. You make three at the time in the 70s, 400 bucks was a lot of money at that time. You know what I mean? He'd do a couple of autograph signings at a Burger King, and he got banged up, and he talked about how he was interested in how the corporation works. And what he did was during the offseason, he would still have to stay in shape, but he would go to Detroit and they would actually train him in the facilities. So that part about learning, he learned how the business side works because he was a manager before he became an owner of a couple of them. He actually managed 3 or 4 Burger Kings in Chicago even during his playing days. So he started to already have money coming in early. So at that point, he learned, he pretty much put in that work, and he even said it himself. He said, "I made more money working and running the Burger Kings because when his football career ended, unfortunately, a lot sooner, right before the Bears won the '85 Super Bowl, he had what they called a spinal concussion, which could have paralyzed him. So that ended his football career, but he was already into another phase of life, transitioning, and he already had income coming in. So even though he had his moments where he hit the wall, he even said himself that you have to set yourself up so when you have something traumatic to happen to you, you're already prepared."
Yeah, and I mean we've been talking about kind of the gift part of it for the most part, right? And how athletes do the right thing. But the curse is with this NIL, we were talking about guys being NFL rookies coming into the NFL, being immature with their rookie contract. Now we're talking about 17, 18-year olds coming into college, getting paid a nice chunk of change. So I think now, even more than ever, it's important to know and be aware of the people around you because people are trying to take advantage of these young athletes. You got these agents trying to take what 20, 25% on the NIL deals. I mean, you got parents dictating what school the kid is going to go to just based on the money and nothing else. It's it's hard for these young athletes out here to navigate nowadays, man. And it's definitely a blessing for some, but for others, it definitely carries a lot of weight and unfortunately carries too much weight, right?
Yes, indeed. And speaking of carrying on, this has been a wonderful episode. Any final thoughts, gentlemen?
I'll say I'll just say this: when you put yourself in a position to succeed, even when all else fails around you, you're already in a position to where you've established a habit of success. Establishing the habit of success is practicing the small things that might not matter and setting yourself up by taking the steps to garner success, whether that's in athletics, whether that's in business, whether that's in life. You always have to do the small things to be able to enjoy the big things. God provides you with an opportunity every day you wake up. Guess what? You have a chance and a choice. You have a chance to make something happen. You have a choice to do the little things that will put you in the realm of greatness. That's all I have for you.
Andre?
Hey man, I appreciate y'all for being here for listening. And I'm excited to be back next week.
My final thoughts is appreciate this brotherhood, appreciate this podcast, appreciate the natural grass field and rolling up to NIL, to the NFL, college football, and shout out to the World Cup. Looking forward to the finale of the World Cup. But this has been episode 3 of Gridiron Views. More life, more blessings.